Dorries became the first MP to be diagnosed with coronavirus and has also confirmed her 84-year-old mother has contracted the disease. Mrs. Bridgen claimed Dorries did not mention her husband to Public Health England despite claims from Mr. Bridgen the two sat next to one another in a tea room. Mr. Bridgen explained to The Guardian, "I can assure you that Nadine Dorries came and sat next to me at the end of my table. I wonder why she would now deny this. My wife is an opera singer, she really is a prima donna, whereas Nadine only acts like a prima donna." Mr. Bridgen is understood to have a cold and a cough. He said, "I don't feel right. I am still waiting for a test. My 76-year-old mother-in-law, who lives with the family, is feeling all right at the moment. I am locking myself away at one end of the house, which is particularly upsetting when your 18-month-old son is crying for you. He is toddling and knows how to open doors. But I have to keep him locked out." Mrs. Bridgen had written after Dorries praised health officials, "Why did you not tell them that you sat next to my husband Andrew Bridgen on Thursday in a tea room and that he can't get the test now? I have the baby and the 75-year-old mother jeopardized. You were treated but no one is coming to help us." Dorries replied on Twitter, "Because I did not sit next to your husband. He was in the tea room when I walked in, on another table not close to me. He texted me and told me he had sat next to me. I was too ill to discuss but not sick enough not to know. That wasn't true. I told him if he was worried to call 111. Mrs. Bridgen replied saying, "I'm sorry that you're sick, I wish you to get well, but let me tell you. You absolutely did sit next to my husband in the tea room." Mrs. Bridgen returned to the UK on Thursday after a performance in Belgrade had been cancelled due to coronavirus fears. The government's advice for those with mild symptoms has changed. This means they will be no longer tested but must self-isolate. Mr. Bridgen said after talking to 111 he was under the impression that he, his son and mother-in-law would be tested. According to political blog Guido Fawkes, 15 MPs alongside Dorries and Mr. Bridgen are self-isolating. One of them, York Central MP Rachel Maskell tweeted, "I have just received a message from Public Health England. We have now moved away from the delay phase of the coronavirus response. This means that unless you have symptoms, you no longer need to self-isolate. I'm free. Thank you to all those who have been so supportive." Those in self-isolation include Health Minister Edward Arger, International Development Secretary Anne-Marie Trevelyan, Justice Under-Secretary Alex Chalk, Security Minister James Brokenshire, and Cabinet Office Minister Chloe Smith. Mrs. Trevelyan tested negative but is still self-isolating on medical advice.